Yeah, so we want to look at types and functions of academic writing. This is for week 4. And of course, I hope you have been following the other lectures, although you told me that most of you said that you have not been attending any lectures. And that's why I decided to have this particular session for this group. So tell your friends to join because we want to move on. So academic writing has different types. They come in shades. Um, and and if I can have slideshow so that so academic writing is very important, as we said last time, for undergraduate students. But it's important to know that they come in shades. Academic writing comes in different shades. And it's important to know that it has its each of these has its unique characteristics. So we have our expect learning outcomes, should analyze the different types of academic writing, should describe the characteristics of different types of academic writing, describe the various functions of academic writing and their importance in research and scholarship, and discuss the role of academic writing in intellectual development. Generally, academic writing is characterized by formality and objectivity. So when you are writing in this type of writing, you don't use informal language. Words like dad, words like block, and even abbreviations and acronyms, short forms and contractions like didn't, don't, they are not allowed in academic writing because of its formality and technicality. Um, and so we should choose formal words when we are doing academic writing. And at the end, of course, we must have references. And also emotional language is not allowed. Unnecessary praises, words where you just show your attitude and your bias. We don't allow them in academic writing because it's a very, very formal type of writing. Now, the first type of academic writing is called descriptive writing. Descriptive writing. Yeah, so what is descriptive writing? So basically, this type of writing dedicated to presenting detailed information about a specific subject by elaborating on its characteristics, functions, and processes. Yeah. So this type of writing is characterized by neutral and objective. That's what we have said. But basically, in descriptive writing, you just give examples. You just describe the characteristics of something. Maybe if it's biology and you're describing mammals, you are researching on a certain mammal. When you are describing the features of that particular mammal, you are doing descriptive writing. You just give a lot of examples to describe something. In literary criticism, for example, when somebody starts writing a synopsis of a novel, that is called descriptive writing. In your area, if you are describing a certain features of a certain software, you are describing features of a certain software, computer software, you are just giving details of that particular application. That is called descriptive writing. But you see, in scholar writing, we are not just interested in descriptions. We are interested in the argument. We are interested in the new argument you are bringing on the table. So if you just do descriptive writing, this is the lowest form of academic writing. This is the lowest form of academic writing, where you just give features of a certain thing. We're not just interested in features. In academic writing, we are interested in the new argument you are placing on the table. What is the new argument you are bringing in the scholarly discourse? Yeah, that is what we are interested in. That Peter 2019 has said this, Kariuki 2020 has said this, but this is what I say. Yeah, that's what we are interested in. But if you just give details descriptively, that paper will not be taken very seriously. But we use description to lay a foundation. In the first parts of your paper. When you are introducing your concept, we allow you to use description because you are just giving an introduction and a background. So we use descriptive writing when you are introducing your topic, but don't rely on descriptive writing throughout the paper. No. Yeah. So descriptive writing is often seen as the simplest type of academic writing. Yeah. Because its main purpose is to provide essential facts and information without delving into analysis and argumentation. And that's what I've just said. It is the simplest form, it's the lowest form of academic writing because you are just introducing a concept. But in academic writing, we are more interested in argumentation, not just details. Yeah. So when you are summarizing a scholarly article, you are doing descriptive writing. Yeah. But we are not just interested in that. When you are writing findings, that's okay. But in academic writing, we do not want you to just stop at description. Um, so, so when you are summarizing, you are writing findings, that is description, but that is not all we are interested in. The second type of academic writing is called analytical writing. So this is an advanced level. So, and we have said, although the use of description is uncommon at university level, most academic texts incorporate analytical elements to provide a more comprehensive understanding of the subject matter. So in analytical writing, we focus on patterns, we focus on relationships, yeah. For example, we focus on the relationship between the concepts you are analyzing. We look at how theory is being used to analyze the data. How are you using the theory you have chosen to analyze the data, to talk about the data? So in analytical writing, you may be required to either apply established categories and relationships from your field. Yeah. So established categories are like the theoretical frameworks you have chosen. If you are using a theory of Michael Faraday, yeah, maybe Michael Faraday it said something, yeah. So how are you using his data to relate to the data that you have collected in the field? So when comparing two theories, your analysis might be organized into several distinct parts, such as evaluating how each theory addresses the social context. So how has, for example, feminism been applied in governance? Yeah, yeah, maybe the tenets of radical feminism and governance in Kenya. That is called analysis. And we're going to see maybe the women representative position, how they were created in the new constitution, and how that one applies to the feminist theory. Yeah. So that is analysis. You look at relationship between theories and the data you have collected. Yeah. And then you systematically break down complex information, making it easier to compare and contrast. Yeah. So when you are able to break down data into simpler details, and how has theory been applied? How has the theory been applied to your data? So when theory is involved, then it becomes analytical form of writing. So analytical writing involves analyzing. This involves dissecting a subject into component parts and examining how these parts work together. For instance, analyzing a research study might involve looking at its methodology, data, conclusions, and so on. So what is the relationship between the objectives of your study and the conclusions of your study? Yeah. Is there a relationship between the objectives, what you set out to accomplish, and what you have accomplished? So in analytical writing, you ensure that there is a relationship between the introduction, the objectives, the problem statement, the findings, and the conclusion. There must be a relationship, and that is analytical writing. So even you as a reader, when you are analyzing that paper, you look at the nexus, the connection between the different parts of the paper. So analytical writing ensures that there is alignment between the different parts of a paper, that is objectives, Then you come to the discussion, then you come to the findings, then you come to conclusion and areas for further study. There must be alignment, and that is analytical writing. It's also applied when you are comparing. This requires that you identify similarities and differences between two or more items. So in comparing theories, for example, you want to compare Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung with regard to dreams. Yeah. So when you are comparing these two theories, then you are doing analytical writing. It also involves contrasting. What are the differences between two theories? What are the differences between the conclusion and the objectives? What are the differences between governance in Kenya and governance in Uganda? So when you are contrasting issues, then that is analytical writing. It also involves relating. This involves connecting different ideas or concepts to show how they interact and influence each other. For example, relating a theoretical framework to empirical research. What is the nexus between the theory you have chosen and the empirical research? Empirical research is are those ideas related to your topic. People who have done studies related to your topic, those are the ones we call empirical research. So what is the relationship between the theory you have chosen and the studies that have been done in that particular area? So that is what we call analysis. Then examining. Examining is also part of analytical writing. This means inspecting a subject in detail to uncover underlying aspects. Like when you look at media studies, like advertisements, they have a lot of underlying theories. For example, why is it that why is it that most people who advertise land are women? Why is it that is mostly girls and women who advertise land? There are underlying truths. Why is it that when a dignitary comes to Kenya, when Obama came to Kenya, it is a girl of 10 years who gave him flowers, for example. So we are trying to say that we examine this data, and somebody can do a research on that. And if somebody has done a research on that, and you are trying to, to bring out underlying aspects, then you are examining. And examining is part of analysis. Like if I'm trying to find out why mostly it is not young boys who welcome dignitaries. I'm trying to analyze why is it that it is girls who it is young girls who do what? It's ladies who advertise land and property. I'm trying to analyze that advertisement. So analysis involves examining to get the deeper meaning of something. Another type of writing is called persuasive writing. Persuasive writing is an element of academic writing. It's another type of academic writing. In persuasive writing, um, we incorporate the writer's own stance on a subject. A writer takes a position on a topic. So in persuasive writing, you take a position and you try to give evidence to support your stand. That's what we are saying. So in persuasive writing, you do what? You argue by taking a position. For example, in the issue of AI, there are those who feel that AI is going to be detrimental to the economies of many countries. But there are those who feel that artificial intelligence is going to be a plus, is going to be a merit to add to our happiness in the society. So if you take a negative position that artificial intelligence is destructive, it has so many demerits, then you must give evidence. You must give evidence to support your side. If you argue against artificial intelligence, then you must also take a stand. Ken, you are raising your hand. What is it? Uh, Ken, you are raising your hand. I hope we are following. I hope we are following. So in persuasive writing, we take a position, and after we take a position, we give evidence to support our position. So to create persuasive writing, it is necessary to articulate and support one's point of view, which may include arguments, recommendations, but you don't teach recommendations unless you get data. You must look for data to support your line of argument. Mm. For example, if you argue that there is life in the universe apart from Earth, there are other planets that have life. You must do research. That means you are in astronomy, and you must do research to give evidence that indeed there is a terrestrial life in the universe apart from that we have on the earth. So you cannot persuade somebody without credible evidence. You must have credible evidence. And that's why research becomes important. You must go now to the field to look for data to support your point of view, to support your point of view. Yeah. And that's what we call a thesis. A thesis is an argument backed by evidence. Yeah. A thesis is an argument which is backed by evidence. And so when you hear thesis, it's not something that is very, very new. It's just a point of view. And you must persuade your audiences that your argument is valid by giving evidence. Yeah. So common instructions for persuasive writing assignments may include arguing for a particular viewpoint. The way I've just told you, maybe you are arguing that there is life in there is terrestrial life in space apart from Earth. If that is your thesis, then you must look for evidence. And evidence, it means now you have to go to the field and research. You have to go to the field and research to support your point of view. And that's why, in fact, um, persuasive writing is very important because you cannot write a thesis and get a PhD or a master's without persuading, a group of scholars that your point of view is correct. You must argue out. You must persuade these professors and the doctors that indeed your argument is valid. And how do you support your argument? By doing research, get data, and analyzing it. So to develop a well-supported point of view in a topic, um, you should do the following. One, review existing research to gain insight into other researchers' perspectives. So you must do literature review. Literature review is a section of research, yeah, where you do what? You look at what others have done. You look at what others have done, um, and the importance of literature review. You will be able to know whether your topic has already been studied, and two, you will be able to give a strong foundation to your topic. You give your topic a strong foundation. When people look at your argument, they know that this person has actually read through what others have done, and you'll find those studies that are similar to your studies and those that are different from your study. And that's how you locate what we call a gap. You only find a gap if you do literature review. So what is literature review? You study what others have done, those that are similar to your topic, and those that are not similar to your topic. And literature review will help you to identify a gap. There can be no academic writing without a gap. In academic writing, we fill a gap. In academic research, we fill a gap. Just like in business, you cannot start a business which everybody is doing and expect it to prosper. If you want to be a good business person, fill a gap. Look at your area. What do people want? What do they need? Yeah. So academic writing is also like that. Mm? Which study do we need? Do we need in your area to solve a problem? Academic research is meant to solve problems in the society, and you must establish a gap. And how do you establish a gap? First of all, look at what others have done. In fact, when you finish a thesis, when somebody has published a thesis is a new idea, a new argument. And when somebody finishes a thesis at the end, there is something called areas for further research. areas for further research. He will tell you um, uh, where we need to, areas which, gaps which need to be filled. Somebody has maybe established like 4 gaps. So you can pick one of them. You can pick one of them and fill it. Yeah. And that is why we need to do literature review. This is not creative writing where you just rise up and you write a poem. No. Or a novel. No. In academic writing, this is called scientific writing. And we want to fill certain gaps. We need to solve certain problems in the society. That's why you need to review existing research. Number 2, identify patterns in the data or references to determine where the evidence is strongest. Yeah. So as you read, try to identify where the evidence is strongest. And that will help you to come up with a very good topic to fill the gap. Explore multiple interpretations and assess their real life implications. Like now, those who are saying artificial intelligence is disastrous to the society. That argument may not be very strong. Yeah. Because artificial intelligence can be utilized to solve real problems in the society. Like even in the military. Yeah. Instead of sending people to die, why can't you send a robot? Why can't you send a robot to go and destroy something and then it burns that way? Like robots are now being used to explore in astronomy. Instead of sending somebody on Mars where there is no, the temperatures are very high, send a robot. Send a robot to explore where there is life on Mars or not. Yeah. And that's why we are saying we cannot just argue and say artificial intelligence is useless. No. Artificial intelligence, as much as it has its demerits, it can have a lot of positive impact on the society. So choose where evidence is strongest. Yeah. Engage in discussions with others to gain further insight and determine if your perspective aligns with theirs. And that's why we need also, when you are doing your term papers, discuss with others. For us who are old, we should go to conferences and we air our point of views in conferences to see whether, please don't draw things on my screen. Let us be mature. Let us be mature. I don't know why do you draw things on my screen. You should be listening and preparing questions for me. Don't go there and start interfering with my presentation. We are mature people. We are not children. We are adults. So let's just behave ourselves. Um, so, what's wrong with my screen now? Acha kuchora vitu, Kim, and I'm going to, if you continue, I'll just throw you out of the class. So let's just be mature. So list supporting reasons to identify the different reasons that support your point of view. This slide is not clear. Let me just come here and can change the design. I can change the design. Yeah, so don't know how many. We are 34 students. That's not bad. And ensure you also sign the attendance. Yeah, so list supporting reasons. Identify and list the different reasons that support your point of view. So if you are saying AI is very, very important in our life today, yeah, give your supporting reasons. And we don't just give reasons like in those debates we used to have in high school. Yeah, we must look for also scholars who have supported our view. We collect data. We can also collect data from the field, quantitative data to justify our argument. So in research, in scholar writing, we don't just give evidence from our minds, the way we used to do in our debates. No, we look for data, real data on the ground to support our point of view. So without proper data, our argument will not be valid. Our argument will not be valid. And data can be quantitative, that is from in the field, or data can be qualitative. Qualitative is data from what others have said. Yeah, so if you interview people and you get data, that's called qualitative data, because that's what others have said. If you do experiments in the laboratory and you get data, that is called quantitative data. So we support our evidence or our point of views using a quantitative or qualitative data. So gather evidence, that's what I've just said, and then compare perspectives, reflect on how your viewpoint aligns or differs with those of others. Now, when you are doing that, then you are doing real argumentation. How does your argument align, or how does your argument differ with others? So in persuasive writing, we need argument. So break down your argument, divide your argument into components such as cost effectiveness, environmental impact, practical application, so that you analyze different aspects of point of view. So you are now doing persuasive writing. To also write persuasively, ensure coherence. Develop a coherent argument where all the individual claims work together. Ensure that your essay is able to flow from introduction and then main body should also cohere, so that from an environmental impact, when you now move to other aspects, like now how it's going to support, AI will support, labor, how it's going to support military, and as you move, have what we call idea connectors. Firstly, secondly, moreover, let there be a flow in your discussion, and that's what we call coherence. Clarify your reasoning. Make sure that your reasoning for each claim is clear and understandable. So be very, very clear, and then validate your assumptions. Ensure that all your assumptions, every assumption you make, is well supported with evidence. So in a persuasive writing, we need a lot of evidence. Then we have another one called critical writing. So critical writing is used in research, especially at postgraduate level. At postgraduate level, it encompasses all elements of persuasive writing with an additional prerequisite of considering multiple viewpoints. In contrast to persuasive writing, which focuses on defending a single perspective, critical writing requires the examination of at least two viewpoints, including your own. So you look at what others have done before you come to your own. So in critical writing, we look at different viewpoints. We look at different viewpoints before we come to our own. So in critical writing, you might scrutinize a researcher's interpretation or argument and then assess its strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. So if Sigmund Freud has said this, you don't just take it. You assess Sigmund Freud's point of view. Yeah. And then you look at their weaknesses, and then you look at their strengths. So critical writing is very common, especially when you are critiquing literature review, for you to get your gap. So you cannot get a gap without critiquing literature review. Yeah. So you might offer your own alternative interpretation, but after critiquing what others have done. So how do you engage in critical writing? One, by accurately summarizing what others have done. So provide a clear summary of the work which you have read. First of all, read our work and give us a short summary of what that work is about. After that, formulate an opinion. Develop a well-reasoned opinion about the work. Like, for example, Imes has said that all of us, we must go back to our African culture. And he says that when you mix cultures, when we take African culture and mix with European culture, what we are doing, we end up with something called cultural anarchy. Cultural anarchy. So that is now a summary of what Amy Sasa has said. But after that now, what is my opinion of Amy Sasa? Yeah. So personally, I believe some cultures some African cultures are not relevant to our society today. For example, we cannot reject modern medicine and then we just go back to all the use of herbs, because some of those herbs, the doses are not right, and sometimes they don't do enough investigation to know that this herb can cure this disease. So that is my opinion. Yeah. And then after that, you now point out the limitations, and then I point out the alternative approach. I don't just defend the work, yeah, but I feel that yes, some aspects of African culture are okay. Eh, yeah, like love for each other, supporting each other. Africans basically we love brotherhood and supporting our friends and our relatives. We are not very individualistic, yeah, which is positive. So we can take some aspects from African culture, but then we can also take some aspects of Western culture, like technology. Yeah, technological elements of Western culture are good, and we cannot just say that we reject. Well, they say the baby and what and the bathwater or whatever. We cannot just reject Western culture in everything. There are some aspects of Western culture, like technology, which we can adopt. So you formulate an opinion, and then you now provide evidence. I now provide evidence for hybridity. Yeah? For example, cultures that have taken, look at Japan, like China, they have taken some aspects of Western culture and they have progressed, yeah, but they have rejected others. They have rejected others. So you summarize, you formulate an opinion, and then provide evidence. And that is part of critical writing. Critical writing is very important for invention of new ideas. And then for you to be a good critical writer, develop strong writing skills. Effective critical writing demands an in-depth understanding of the topic and issues. Yeah. So organize your essay into paragraphs and then have an introduction, main body, and conclusion. And in the main body, you can also break it down. Like in some papers, in the main body, they have something called discussion. And then after discussing, they now come to another section. They talk about findings. Yeah. But then after findings, they now come to conclusion and all that. So develop strong writing skills. Yeah. And as I said, also avoid informal usages. Words like oh, dad, oh, block, mom, words like contractions like didn't, can't. We don't allow such things in what? In academic writing. So by mastering these elements, you can produce a well-rounded critical analysis that contributes meaningfully to scholarship. So what are the functions of academic writing? One, informing. So it enables readers to get precise, accurate, and pertinent information regarding a specific subject. So we write academically to inform. We want to inform people about the new ideas that we have come up with. For example, if we are talking about characteristics of a certain software, you will inform it through this, you will inform the audience through descriptive writing, and then we have analyzing. So it helps us to analyze different theories, but also enables us to analyze data using the theories we have chosen. Using the theories we have chosen. So analyzing involves examining relationships, patterns, and structures within that particular information. So that is very, very important. Another function of academic writing is another functions of academic writing is arguing. Yeah, we're able to argue and support our point of view. And I've told you a thesis. What is a thesis? A thesis is just an argument based on evidence. So if you're arguing that artificial intelligence is very important, you give evidence and you persuade. You persuade the audience. So academic writing enables that argument. And then critiquing. Yeah, you look at strengths and weaknesses of our point of view so that you don't just swallow what is there. And what if the discovery is wrong? Like there's some people who made a research and they said that generally Africans have very low intelligence because their brain is just as small as that of an ape. Yeah. Now, when you have such a research which is actually transgressing the ethical considerations of research. You cannot just accept such a thing. Eh? You must be able to critique, identify the weaknesses of that research, limitations of that research, and even be able to overturn what somebody has done. Then reflecting. So to reflect is to explore and articulate personal insights and experiences in relation to academic concepts, in relations to academic concepts. So insights, you cannot get insights into an issue without academic writing. So in academic writing, we go through data, we go through what people have said, we compare to theories, and we get insights. So reflecting is about getting new insights about an issue. Then we have synthesizing. Yeah, this is to integrate information from various sources to create a cohesive understanding of a topic. Yeah, sometimes you can even bring ideas from computer science, the humanities, the social sciences, and you bring them together into a book. Yeah. Nowadays we have even interdisciplinary books in the interdisciplinary books because of synthesizing. Yeah. And in fact, nowadays, grants that win, or proposals that win grants, they synthesize different fields of knowledge. Yeah, so to integrate information from various sources to create a cohesive understanding of a topic. You can have a topic that touches different fields, and you write an academic book in something called synthesis. You can even be in literature, but like now there's something called machine reading. So literature, but computer criticism, for example, it comes from IT and other areas like computer security and all that. And so you can have a topic that brings together what? Different areas from the humanities and the natural sciences. And that is what we call synthesizing, reporting. Yeah. So academic writing enables us to document and present research results. So you should be able to know how to present research results by writing a topic, methodology, a theory, findings, conclusions, areas of further research. That is called reporting. So it teaches you how to report and present data. In documenting, you are supposed to write a thesis, and then you use hardcover, and then you place it in the library. You can also publish it in articles which are presented in journals, and you are able to reach out to wider audiences. We can also use bibliographies, which have a lot of sources on a particular topic, and all these are aspects of what? Academic writing. In summary, we have examined various types of academic writing and their unique attributes, including descriptive, analytical, persuasive, and critical writing. And so before we go, maybe I want somebody to tell me what is descriptive writing? What is descriptive writing? Somebody to unmute and tell me. We have descriptive, we have analytical, and so on. Analytical, we have critical. What is descriptive writing? And how is it different, for example, from critical writing? Someone to unmute and tell me. What is this descriptive writing? Samuel Muriuki, what is descriptive writing? Anybody? Any volunteer? Trevor? We have descriptive, we have analytical, we have persuasive, we have critical writing. Those are the four major types of academic writing, and that's what we have covered. So those who came early, like Ken, you have been in class for some time, and you have not left. What is descriptive writing? Don't fear. Um, Somebody's asking for attendance password. It is UCU104A in capital. Password is UCU104A. You people are in group A. I have another lesson at 4. It's also group A. What is descriptive writing? Okay, you can use your chats if you don't want to speak. Um, Also, someone tell me something about critical writing. These are types of academic writing. These are types of academic writing. You can use your chat if you don't want to speak. What do you say we do in descriptive writing? Feel free to communicate. Don't fear. Don't fear. You are just a few. You can unmute, or maybe have I muted everyone? Look at the host tools. In, you can unmute. Those who can unmute, you can unmute. Or you can also use chat. What is descriptive writing? How is it different from critical writing? Yeah, George says descriptive writing is based on representing information by elaborating on its characteristics. Yes, you just elaborate the characteristics. Very good. That's good, George. You just um, give details. If you just give details of something, um, that is not academic writing. Like those of, I think you were in high school and you wrote compositions based on set books. If you wrote a composition by giving examples from Fathers of Nation or the Samaritan, that is just describing. You are just giving, you are not arguing, you are just giving evidence, you are just giving details from the text. That is descriptive. So if you are just describing a certain software, that is descriptive writing. And we said that is the simplest form of academic writing. Now, what about the last one, critical writing? What do you do in critical writing, basically? Anybody to try? Let me see if there is any. Uh, what do you do in critical writing? So this is a very high level of writing. You don't just give details. What else do you do apart from giving details? After you have summarized a source, what do you do in critical writing? What do you do in critical writing? Boniface? Boniface Karugu? What do we do in critical writing? Isaac Mraya says it's a style of writing where you go beyond summaries and descriptions. Yes, Mraya, that's a fair attempt. Yeah, but it's not just about going beyond. So that's not specific. What do you do specifically in critical writing? Yeah, you go beyond summaries. What do you do in critical writing? And I said it's very common in literature review. When you are doing literature review, you use critical writing. Any other person? Let's participate. Feel free to participate. Even those who can unmute, you can just unmute and speak. This is your class, and we are not very many. So far, I think the highest we have had today is 38. And I think the class rep, are you around? How many are you in forensic? I've created this class for you. Tell your colleagues what struggle. Those who cannot log in, please go to Shalom. Shalom, you want to say something? You can say. Shalom. Those who cannot log in, please go to Shedrack at Odell. I was surprised that some of you don't know where Odell is. Odell is the one hosting this program. They're the ones
Yeah,
who
but
know
we are
all
supposed
the
to be
technical issues.
39.
Shalom, Kiragu.
We're supposed to be 39.
An argument.
Angalia watu wenye wametodi
We're supposed to be 39.
waangalia watu wenye wako ndani. Unaona hapa kwa participant.
Shalom. Shalom, there is a lot of noise
Yes.
coming from background. You are not even helping us. You are just making a noise for us, Shalom. Hmm?
So it is okay. Yes.
So we are talking about critical writing. So we said in critical writing, you look at the strengths and weaknesses. You look at the strengths and weaknesses of an argument. You look at strengths and weaknesses of an argument before you locate your gap, before you locate your gap, before you form an opinion, you look at the strengths and weaknesses of an argument. So here, after summarizing, you now say, what are the weaknesses of this argument? For those who are saying artificial intelligence is not good, yeah, you summarize their views and then you now look at the weaknesses of the argument. Those who say artificial intelligence is good, you summarize the points that I've said and then you form your opinion. Form now your opinion. So this helps us also to dispel data which is untrue and which is also misleading. So we are saying critical writing is very, very important. And in gradation, it's actually the highest. And then we have another one called persuasive. Yes. What is persuasive? As we finish, what is persuasive writing? What is persuasive writing? I'm sure you have signed the attendance. The attendance is on the WhatsApp group. I've set it. You are free to sign it even after class. Ensure you sign the attendance. Those who are having issues, please go to Odell. Those technical issues, Odell will help you. Let me deal with the issues to do with the class, with the content. Technical issues, please take them to Odell to help you, because they are the ones who assist in hosting this particular program. Persuasive writing, Elizabeth Kanini, persuasive writing. When I call your name, you don't go out of class. When I mention you, please give me an answer. Say something to show that you have attended the class. Don't just disappear. Do not just disappear. And I'm happy for those who are using your names. That's good. Just use your name to attend class. Don't need to hide. You don't need to hide. This is your class. So don't come to class and then you don't want to identify yourself. Then you don't want to identify yourself. This is a class just like any other. So do not hide. Persuasive writing. It expands analytical writing by argumentation. That is George. Any other attempt? Persuasive writing, we said you do what? Aimed at convincing the reader. That is Moriah, convincing the reader to agree with your opinion. Yeah, so but basically you take a stand, you take a position, and then you give evidence to support it. So for example, if you argue that artificial intelligence has very many merits, that's the stand you have taken. So you look for evidence to support it. You say artificial intelligence is not has very many demerits, many shortcomings. You take a stand and you do what? You oppose it from the beginning to the end. And where do you get data? Where do you get data? I said there are two types of data. Who can tell me the two types of data? Who can tell me the two types of data that I mentioned? The two types of data? The two types of data? All right, ensure that you sign the attendance, and then do all the activities. Do all the activities. For week 3, if there's something you do not understand, I will also prepare videos and upload them on my YouTube channel. So if I share a YouTube channel, please ensure that you use it. You use it to listen to the videos. Use them to listen to the videos so that you get the content. I will be sharing those videos on my YouTube channel. Ensure you listen to them, and then do all the activities on the Moodle platform. Yeah, George says quantitative data. Yes, the data which is found through scientific methods like observation, experimentation. And then we have qualitative data from what others have said. So I've recorded this video. I'm also going to share it so that for those who do not understand, you can follow. And also I encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that our knowledge can also grow. So at this point, let me end the lesson. I wish you well. I wish you a very, very happy day. Unless somebody has a question, I wish to leave. Unless somebody has a question, I wish to leave. If there's no question, if there is no question,